Yo, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Adamoose, and today in this series called In Depth, I'm going to be breaking down everything that you need to know about Qiyana Jungle.
Losing is your element.
Qiyana is an insanely fun assassin who, in my opinion, has one of the highest skill ceilings in the game due to her massive outplay potential and complex combos. If you enjoy the content, it really helps me out if you could leave a like and comment on the video to help your boy out with the YouTube algorithm. If you want to talk with me and other members in the community that are looking to improve, be sure to join the Discord link that's in the description. Hope you guys can learn something. Enjoy the video. Abilities. Let's jump right into how Qiyana's kit works, and some tips and tricks to take your mechanical game to the next level. Qiyana's passive is called Royal Privilege. Qiyana's basic attacks and abilities deal additional physical damage to affected enemies. This effect cannot occur on the same target more than once every few seconds. Gathering an element with your W Terra shape will reset this cooldown on all targets that had Royal Privilege applied to them already with a different element or with no element. This is extremely important to make use of to consistently reset the bonus damage from this passive. Qiyana's Q is called Edge of Ixtal or Elemental Wrath. Qiyana slashes forward in the target direction, dealing physical damage to enemies in a line, slightly reduced to target's hit after the first. If Qiyana gathers an element with Terra shape, Edge of Ixtal is upgraded to Elemental Wrath, and its cooldown is reset. Now for Elemental Wrath, Qiyana consumes her blade's current element and throws it in the target direction. This also deals increased damage against monsters, which is the main reason Qiyana can be a jungler in the first place. When tossed out, it detonates in a line, either when colliding with an enemy or reaching its max range, triggering a unique effect based on the element. Since each element has a very unique use, mastering how to use each is crucial to learning Qiyana, and we'll discuss all of them more in detail throughout the video. Brush is the first, which can be taken from any bush around the map, which grants Qiyana bonus movement speed and, most importantly, invisibility, giving you some insane outplay potential if used correctly in jungle and river skirmishes. River is the next, which roots enemies hit for 0.5 seconds, then slows them briefly for 1 second. Obviously you grab this from the river, which is going to be your main ganking and playmaking tool to lock enemies down. Terrain is the last element, which can be grabbed from, you guessed it, any terrain. This is Qiyana's go-to choice for burst, since it deals massive bonus damage to enemies below 50% health. Qiyana's W is called Terra Shape. Passively while holding an element, Qiyana gains bonus attack speed, auto range, bonus magic damage on her basic attacks, E, and Elemental Wrath cast. This is very important to remember, since holding an element will greatly increase your clear speeds and DPS in fights. While out of combat and moving towards the element currently being held, she also gains bonus movement speed. Actively, Qiyana dashes towards the target location while also gathering an element, enchanting her blade. Keep in mind that an element is required to cast this ability, and it can be used to jump over walls and dodge key skill shots if timed correctly. Qiyana can also cast any of her other abilities during Terra Shape. Qiyana's E is called Audacity. Qiyana dashes a fixed distance towards a target enemy, dealing physical damage if they're still in range upon arrival. Casting Q during your E towards an enemy will automatically aim your Q skill shot at the target, making it guaranteed to land if the enemy is within 150 units of her at the end of the dash. This is a crucial combo to learn, since using EQ on an immobile target will make this combo undodgeable. Qiyana's ultimate is called Supreme Display of Talent. Qiyana sends a massive wind blast in the target direction that knocks back all enemies within its path. This then creates an erupting shockwave across any river or brush it passes through, as well as around the borders of terrain that it reaches. This wave deals huge physical damage to all enemies struck and stuns them, granting vision along its path of destruction. This is not only Qiyana's main teamfighting and burst spell, it also has a ton of interesting interactions based on where you use it. First off, the hitbox is pretty dumb, meaning that you only need to get the wind blast near terrain to trigger the shockwave. Next is that this interacts with all artificial terrain as well, such as Jarvan ult, Trundle Pillar, and both Anivia and Talia walls. Lastly is that Supreme Display of Talent will cast from wherever Qiyana is at the end of the cast time, which is important since you can R flash or ER to catch enemies off guard with different angles. For ability maxing, you want to start W level 1, Q level 2, and E level 3. It's most common to max Q, then W second, but Emax second is also viable in some rare cases as well. Before we move on from her abilities, let's discuss some combos since in reality, Qiyana is filled with a ton of cool mechanics that are key to master if you want to have success on the champ. First off is EQWQ or ERQWQ. These are both basic combos used to burst down enemies. To pull this off, it's important to have your W ready since it'll reset your Q, allowing you to put out some big burst very quickly. Q Flash is a simple yet important combo to get that extra flash range while making it way less predictable to dodge since the animation time will be masked. You can also R Flash, making your ult animation extremely short, which is also very hard to dodge. ER and ER Flash are both solid combos to get in range and ult targets as well. If you really want to gap close, you can use WER Flash to quickly close the distance and surprise ult enemies into oblivion. If you really want to insta-delete a target out of nowhere, Flash ER Auto Q WQ is your full burst combo that will really catch people off guard if you put the time into learning it. And lastly, if you want to be really flashy and combo without fully committing in, you can ER Flash backwards, QWQ, to unleash all of your damage from a safe range. Runes. Now that we've broken down how to use Qiyana's kit effectively, let's discuss her best rune choices for Season 11 in the jungle. Since she's an assassin, let's discuss her two main burst options first, which are Electrocute and Dark Harvest. Electrocute is by far the more consistent option, which I recommend in higher elos, while Dark Harvest can be good in more Fiesta low elo games to pick up tons of stacks. Both these keystones are great into squish your teams when you're looking to pick off the enemy carries. To close out the domination tree, Sudden Impact, Eyeball Collection, and either Ravenous Hunter, Relentless Hunter, or Ultimate Hunter are going to be your choices. This depends on if you want move speed, sustain, or CDR on your ultimate. For secondary, you're either looking to pick up Inspiration with Cosmic Insight and Magical Footwear, or Precision with Triumph and Legend Tenacity if the enemy team is filled with CC. Next up is the Conqueror setup, which is also extremely powerful, especially if the enemy team consists of multiple tanks or bruisers. To close out the Precision tree, Triumph and either Legend Alacrity for more DPS, or Legend Tenacity versus heavy CC teams. Coup de Grace is the best option into squishy teams for the extra execute damage, while Last Stand is better in games with more frontliners, since you could sustain up more when you're low and extend fights for even longer. If you decide on the Conqueror page, Inspiration Secondary is pretty much the only rune setup used, since it just fits perfectly. It's very important to keep both these pages in mind, since Qiyana's playstyle can drastically change depending on the enemy's team comp. For rune shards, double adaptive force or attack speed and adaptive force is going to be the standard, with either armor or magic resist depending on your jungle matchup and enemy team comp. Items. Now let's discuss the optimal item builds for Qiyana jungle. To start, both red and blue smite are viable options depending on the game. Red smite is the most common since the extra dueling potential and burn damage allows her to shine in 1v1s. Blue smite can be strong as well, and to squish your mobile teams for the extra utility and lockdown. For boots, Ionian Boots of Lucidity are going to be the overall best choice for most games. If you're in need of some defensive stats, plated steel caps into heavy AD auto attack based teams, and merc treads against heavy CC are your main options. For mythics, Qiyana actually has quite a few viable options. The main three are going to be Gore Drinker for a more bruiser setup, and then Eclipse and Prowler's Claw for more assassin, full lethality builds. Although right now Gore Drinker is overall more consistent, the upcoming Gore Drinker changes will most likely switch this up, so just keep that in mind. For core items, Youmuu's Ghostblade, Cyrilda's Grudge, and Serpent's Fang are going to be your main choices. Youmuu's is all around strong for the extra burst and map mobility, Cyrilda's Grudge gives you huge armor pen and utility, and Serpent's Fang gives you a ton of lethality and extra damage to counter shielding champions. To finish off your build, you're looking to pick up as much damage as you can to threaten one-shots on squishies, while also not making yourself too vulnerable to the enemy team comp. Keep this in mind since sometimes building some extra resistances or utility can allow yourself more room to play more aggressively, especially in mid to late game fights. Jungle clears. Now let's jump right into Qiyana's jungle playstyle, pathing, and some tips to improve your success on the champ. First is knowing how to clear optimally on her, especially in the early game where it makes the biggest difference. Since Qiyana gains bonus attack speed while holding an element, she has 2 attack patterns to clear depending on what jungle camp that you're killing. QWQ is the standard combo versus AoE camps such as raptors, while QW and holding your element for the extra attack speed against single target camps is more efficient. Next is that your passive grants bonus damage whenever you grab a different element than before. This means you should always be switching between grass and rock to maximize the bonus damage. Also keep in mind that your rock execute damage also applies to jungle camps, so definitely make use of this when your camps are below 50% health. You can also use your E through jungle monsters to jump through walls. Although this is not the biggest deal, you can use this to gap close or escape in close call situations. When ganking, make sure to pre-plan and get your hands onto the ice element before running into lane. This will make your ganks way more dangerous. On the topic of ganking and playmaking, remember that your ultimate will actually stun targets who hit bushes. This is something that not many people know, but is extremely useful if enemies are not near a wall, but are running close to lane bushes or in the jungle. Now for jungle clears, Qiyana has some very unique clears, and learning her optimal paths can be a bit confusing at first. To make things simple, let's discuss her 3 main opening clear options. First is Red Krug's Raptors into either a gank or your blue side camps. This path is the most standard since Qiyana clears her AoE camps quite easily. This allows you to hit level 3 and then decide if you want to continue farming in your blue side or you want to get onto the map and make a play happen. Next is the Blue Gromp Wolves path into either gank or your red side camps. This is the exact opposite of the first, but is used if you want a path towards the red side of the map. Both are pretty standard, so learning both of these will be crucial to your early game strategy. Lastly is a much more rare, but nonetheless powerful route that is mainly only used by high elo or pro Qiyana players. Red Raptor's Gromp is a path that is used to quickly rush level 3 while avoiding doing blue, since Qiyana deals with raptors much more easily. After these 3 camps, you can then decide to start playing aggressively or to continue farming the rest of your camps in the order of blue, wolves, and scuttle. The reason this path is so good is because it allows you to stay very healthy, rush level 3, and avoid any potential invades, while also putting your raptors on a quick respawn timer for your second clear. Keep in mind that most Qiyanas I see will go for a 5 camp clear into scuttle if they're looking for a passive farming route, since clearing 6 camps will make you late for scuttle spawn. The most important thing to note about Qiyana is that her playstyle is very versatile and there is no one-size-fits-all clear for every game. Weaknesses. Qiyana's biggest weakness is just how hard she is to play. A lot of people think Qiyana is broken and brainless to play, since playing against a champion can sometimes feel that way. The truth is that her skill ceiling is insanely high, and it takes a ton of experience on her to really master all of her different mechanics, combos, and tricky playstyle. To build on top of this, it can be extremely punishing to make mistakes, since she's so squishy and relies on her high mobility to stay alive. A slightly missed combo, or picking the wrong element, can really be a big deal in those close call situations, especially in the mid to late game. Qiyana is also very hard to pull off against teams with heavy CC and frontline. The more CC and lockdown tools the enemy team has, the cleaner your gameplay needs to be so that you don't get locked down and shut down. Lastly is that Qiyana's early clear is not the greatest, which allows you to get invaded and punished by powerful dueling junglers if not played correctly. This is a huge reason as to why new Qiyanas have a hard time succeeding. Most of Qiyana's weaknesses really just depend on your skill level. This is why I really recommend doing some serious research and practice all of her different mechanics before hopping into ranked, since this will definitely take some time to learn. Strengths. Now let's discuss what makes Qiyana such a powerful jungler in the right hands. If mastered, Qiyana has massive outplay potential. She can go invisible on a short cooldown, deal huge damage with multiple different combos, and also has a ton of mobility. This is why playing against a good Qiyana can feel unfair with zero counterplay. The hard part is not messing up along the way. To build on top of this, Qiyana is amazing at making picks and ganking, since she is one of the rare assassins in the game who has CC built into her kit. This allows you to really punish enemies out of position, since you can easily gap close, CC, and instantly burst them. What really differentiates Qiyana from other assassins is not only the high mobility and utility that her kit provides, but also how she's actually a fantastic team fighter. A multi-man ultimate can instantly change the tides of any game, which is another reason why experienced Qiyana players can pretty much turn any game on its head with the right opportunity. And finally, something else that is unlike other assassins is that Qiyana can still be useful when she's behind, which is a very big deal. Since you can still provide poke with Qs or a massive AoE stun with your ult, falling behind on her is not as bad as other assassin champions such as Kha'Zix or Talon. Qiyana's a slippery assassin who has massive outplay potential with enough mastery. She can burst down single targets, provide massive teamfight value, has extremely high mobility, and is just very fun to play in general. If you're looking for a champ you can put some time into learning with massive carry potential, Qiyana is definitely the pick for you. That will do it for my in-depth guide on Qiyana Jungle. If you want to support my content, make sure you subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications to keep up with my weekly uploads. Most people who watch are not subbed, and any extra support really helps my channel grow. If you have any questions or opinions, be sure to leave them in the comments below. I'll be giving away free coaching sessions every month to members of the Discord, so be sure to click the link in the description if you're interested. With all that being said, thanks again for watching. Until the next video, peace out.